Welcome our first guest today, Mr. Peter Brits from Attorney General Chambers. We'll be talking about legal aid set and directed to Botswana who cannot afford legal assistance. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Let me welcome you to the Dumela Botswana Breakfast Show, sir.
Good to be here. What can I tell you about?
All right, how's the law?
The law is even better now that people who can't afford their own lawyers can get legal aid, which enables them also to get access to justice.
Not saying let's go around breaking the law, legal aid is free.
No. Legal aid is not about breaking the law. Legal aid is about enabling people who can't afford their own lawyers to participate in the legal process by providing them with legal representation at state expense.
All right. So someone may ask, why are we talking about this today? Has it been all around all along?
This project comes a long way.
All right.
But last year, we started with a pilot project that's going to run until the end of March next year to see whether we can set up a sustainable legal aid system. During that process, we're going to enact legislation that will establish a separate entity, state-funded, that will provide legal aid. We've already established offices in Gaborone and in Francistown at the Attorney General's office where people can come and apply for legal aid. Once a week, we send somebody down to Lubotsi, to the High Court there, so people can also apply for legal aid. And then later this year, we're going to be establishing an office in Maun.
In Maun. All right. Primarily, we may want to ask here that if this thing is coming in now, what is it going to offer people that has not been offered already by AG Chambers on its own?
Well, AG Chambers represents the government in litigation, whether criminal or civil. What legal aid is doing is it's offering citizens the opportunity to be represented in cases that they may have, sometimes even possibly against the government. And that hasn't been provided before. But that's essential to allow people to participate in the legal process.
All right. So meaning that in this particular case, if someone is having a case, let's say me versus you, I don't need to go and get another lawyer. I can simply go to AG Chambers to come and get me a lawyer.
If you're a citizen, you can go to the AG Chambers. In Gaborone, we're on the 6th floor, in Francistown on the ground floor. You apply for legal aid.
All right.
There we will look at the means test. Now we look at your income. We look at what assets you have. We look at the deductions like legal aid and school fees and pensions and so on. We look at what your spouse earns, if you're married, and also whether you have minor children who are dependent on you for their support and maintenance. And then we decide whether or not you qualify for legal aid. Now, it obviously varies from case to case with all of those factors. But generally speaking, a Motswana who earns less than 5,000 pula a month will qualify for legal aid.
Automatically.
And then what we will do is we will find someone to represent that person. We do it in one of three ways. First of all, we are in the process of employing salaried lawyers who will provide the service directly from the Attorney General's chambers.
Meaning that those lawyers will be working for Legal Aid Botswana at that particular time?
Yes, these lawyers will be on contract to Legal Aid Botswana and providing the service to the public.
When we say there's, I think a lot of graduate lawyers are dancing, hoping that they're going to get jobs. Is that what it means?
I hope we're going to get a lot of applicants. In fact, the applications closed yesterday.
Oh, all right.
So we're looking to employ the best that we can get.
All right. And
the other way we do it is with private lawyers.
All right.
Now, we've reached an agreement with the Law Society of Botswana that their members will do 25 hours a year pro bono. That's free service to the public. After that, they qualify to receive legal aid instructions that are paid, although at a reduced rate. So it's not at commercial rates, but they are paid at a tariff that's set out in a book of rules that we've got called the Legal Aid Guide. And then the third way we provide the service is we've entered into contracts with 4 NGOs that members of the public can approach directly, and they also provide services to the public. Those are Bonella, Imang Basadi, Ditchwanello, and War, Woman Against Rape.
All right. So, so this particular legal aid, just to have it clarified, will cover what kind of cases?
At the moment, we do civil cases. Criminal cases are excluded. We will think about including criminal cases at the end of the pilot project.
All right.
But the civil cases, there's a large variety. We do, for instance, family law matters, divorce, maintenance, family violence, custody cases. We do industrial or labor cases in the industrial court.
All right.
We have contractual cases about people who've, for instance, done work and haven't been paid for it.
So let me stop you there, sorry. We take a short break. When we come back, we'll get to continue with that.
Okay.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with the topic that we're discussing today, not free, tax-paid legal aid for every Botswana. Welcome back to our interview. This is Dumela Botswana Breakfast Show. We continue with Mr. Peter Brits from the AG Chambers, Legal Interim Aid Coordinator. Interim Legal Aid Coordinator, actually.
Yes.
We're still talking about the kind of cases you handled. I'll touch them one by one. Civil cases, you talked about divorces and all that. Now, let's talk to the most important, labor cases. A lot of Botswana cry that companies, especially foreign companies, are cheating them out of their money, they're not paying them on time, and they never know who's going to represent them. So can you clarify there what kind of aid exactly in the industrial law that we're getting?
We provide legal representation and attorney in the industrial court and, if necessary, on appeal. We don't usually get involved in the preliminary process where there's an attempt to settle the matter and negotiate a deal unless the other side is represented.
All right. So, Mina, in this particular case, are unions allowed to come to you, Botswana-owned unions allowed to come to you and ask for representation?
Their members can come to us and ask for representation. Legal aid is for individuals, not for companies and corporate entities. Yes. So we wouldn't represent a union, but if necessary, we would happily represent a member of a union or members of a union.
All right. So in cases like this where a lot of, we don't include criminal cases yet, but in cases where someone has a case that is pending, needs appeal, and cannot afford the lawyer anymore.
They come to us. If they qualify in terms of the type of case and the means test, we send them to the lawyer. The next step is the lawyer investigates the matter and sends us a report and says whether or not the case has a reasonable prospect of success, because we obviously don't want to be spending taxpayers' money on frivolous litigation. So we only fund cases that have a reasonable prospect of success. That doesn't mean there's a guarantee you're going to win. There never is in the law case. Yes. But cases that have a reasonable prospect of success, we then fund. The lawyer represents the client and accounts to us, Legal Aid Botswana.
Yes, and touching on that one, so which lawyers, have you listed a list of lawyers that, look, these lawyers will only be working with us, or can I go get my own lawyer, come to you and say, I need this guy to represent me, so may you please assist me?
Ultimately, the choice of lawyer is with Legal Aid Botswana.
All right.
But if there's a good reason for continuing with an existing lawyer that the client has run out of money to pay, we will listen to that.
All right. Now, looking at the other companies which are private running legal aid, how different are you from them? I mean, is it only because you don't get to pay the 50 pullers a month, or are you going to do a better job and a bigger job in the scope of covering for the small men of Botswana?
It's different in various respects. Remember, those are insurance schemes. They're privately operated. Unless you subscribe and pay your premium, you don't have cover. And with those commercial entities, the extent of the cover depends generally on how big is the premium. So the more you pay, the better the cover you get. With Legal Aid Botswana, it's one system for everybody. The government pays the costs of it, and obviously part of my job is to try and keep those as low as possible and as sustainable as possible. But whether or not you're entitled to legal aid is not dependent on whether you're a taxpayer or a payer of premiums. It's on whether you have a case that has a reasonable prospect of success and whether you qualify for legal aid.
All right. In cases where someone may have a case, a civil case against the government, who represents the individual?
What we've been doing with those cases so far, mostly, is to send them out to private practitioners so that the client will have confidence that this is a private person acting independently.
Still paid by the government?
Paid by the government, by Legal Aid Botswana, if the attorney is not acting pro bono, which is free. But in a democracy, it's important that the state should provide this service for the citizens so that legal disputes, including disputes with government, can be properly ventilated and everybody can participate in the legal process and consequently have access to justice.
All right. So do people need to start coming to your office now and registering for this particular service, or is it going to come on a case-come basis?
You don't need to register for the service. When the problem arises, come to our offices. People should bring with them their omang. If they're employed, they should bring with them their salary slip. And if there are any documents related to the case, they should bring those also. You don't have to register for the scheme.
And then normally, you know, in cases, in many issues, when it comes to government service, everyone says, no, it's too slow, too bad, the people don't want to work with me anymore. How fast are you going to be?
We're going to try and make it like law in private practice.
All right. Thank you very much. What we'll be doing, we'll be observing the whole system, and I think that it's going to work out best. Now the statements, you have the right to an attorney. If you can't afford one, the state will pay for one. We'll pay one for you. We'll start coming into practice, I hope.
Yes.
All right. Brits ne re bua ka kgang ya molao ya gore ba beile jalo tiro nngwe e leng gore go attorney general e leng gore e lebile gore motswana mongwe le mongwe o tlhokang dithuso tsa molao a batla go ya moemedi o ka ba atamela mme go ba atamela ba tla mo thusa gakologelwa ba lebelela gore gone mme wa amogela bokae a wa kgona kana ga o kgone mme bile tiro e ga se mahala e duelelwa ya le kwena o duelang lekgetho.